Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's Golden Win Geekout. I'm your host, Danny. Got my co-host, Ryan, with me.
Hi.
And we're going to talk about episode 14, the express train to Florence. But before we actually go into the episode itself, there's two things we got to talk about first. In the last Geekout, we did mention that there was a special, that it was a recap special, and that, if they were going to add anything or do anything, it would warrant another video. Sadly, that did not happen. I mean, it was literally a recap. There were no added scenes. They didn't play around with it. It was just the narrator, just kind of talking about what's happened, showing what's happened, kind of like breezing through everybody for half an hour. And that was it. I mean, it was so uneventful when Ryan and I were watching it. We were actually talking vodka and sports while watching it. That's how bored we were.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were actually.
I know, it does where it's like, we're just watching and we're just like, yeah, we know, we've seen this. I don't know about you, Ryan, but I've seen these fights several times now.
Yeah.
I know what happened. So it's like, and somehow that got onto the conversation talking about vodka and hockey. I don't know why. It's like, that was the bulk of the conversation. And then we look up at the screen and we're like, wait,
it's still going on.
It's like, wait, they're still on craft work?
How long are they gonna go on about freaking Kraftwerk? It's like the Kraftwerk fight is not that long. Shit, they even breeze through freaking Naranja's fight, and it's like, hey, I love the Mista fight. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, god damn, the Naranja fight was way more eventful than the Mista fight. So it's like, why the hell would the recap fight, right with the recap episode, put so much focus on the Mista fight? But it's like, hello, we have Aerosmith here.
That's actually a good point. It's like they did show a lot more of the Soft Machine and the Kraftwerk fight than they did with Little Feat and Man in the Mirror. They breezed through those fights. It's like Eluso, I don't even think had 30 seconds of screen time. Formaggio, at least we got to see we saw the ending bit where Naranja manned up and they had that Mexican standoff and everything. They at least showed that. Eluso didn't even have that luxury. So it's like, yeah, why not? It's like, I understand there's a lot of stuff you got to get through. Because there's all the beginning fights. You had Black Sabbath, everything that happened with Pulpo, the setup. I get that you have to go through all of that. But it's like, when you start breezing through the fights, it's like, you devoted more time to the two flunkies at the beginning that barely anybody remembers, and you breeze through La Squadra. What the fuck?
Yeah, really. It makes no sense.
Yeah, but yeah, hence why, I did say, if they weren't doing anything uneventful, we're just not going to add anything, and that's why we are addressing it here. So, there we go. The recap episode, that's just what it was. You're not missing much. Moving on. So the second thing we got to talk about, I have no idea why we did not get this from the beginning.
Huh?
But apparently they decided to reanimate the ending.
Oh,
it's still,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
It's still Freaking You, so it's still the same song. But they actually went out of their way and reanimated it. Like a proper JoJo ending. It's like we went from a PlayStation 1 screensaver background ending to something that's actually a little bit more animated. That was, because if you remember when we first saw that ending, that was the big thing that, that was my biggest criticism about the ending was you saw how, in comparison to the previous endings, with Stardust Crusaders and with Diamond is Unbreakable, they played with perspectives, they played with colors, they played around with a lot of that stuff and made it work with the music. And they really didn't do that for Freaking You. Well, they decided to do it now, and it's fucking glorious. So why the hell did we not get this from the beginning?
That's another thing that doesn't really add up. Like, I'm sure David Productions had the reasons why it took them a lot longer than expected to do an animated intro, whatever. But when you really get down to it, it's like, okay, look, I'm sure the production time for Part 5 was quite a handful. Especially, like, in between the ending of Part 4 and the beginning of Part 5, there was a lot to go through. But it's like, even with all this time that they had, with animating the episodes, like, getting all their sources together, and all that stuff, trying to make sure that it's, like, the anime adaptation is, like, as accurate to the source material as possible. It's like, it still doesn't make sense on how it's like, okay, why would you start off with, like, this very lackluster ending for, like, the first, like, 13 episodes, and then only now, in episode 14, it's like, okay, we finally fleshed out this ending that we were really wanting to do, now we can dish it out starting now.
Yeah. That's where it's just like, such a huge improvement.
Yeah,
that's where it's like,
yeah, it's like,
I love it. I fucking love it.
I do too. It's like, no, you're absolutely right. It's like, yeah, it's like, it went from like a simple slideshow with a very disco gradient background of sorts to like, okay.
Yeah, like I swear it looks like, if you remember, what was it, like PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, where it's like the little screensaver background that you get where they're saying like, hey, there's no disc in the console, dipshit, put one in.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much what it was.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I can definitely see that. But no, it's like it went from that to like, oh, hold up. Oh, it's like, oh wow, we actually see animated plants and vines like sprouting from the ground, like covering everything. Yeah, we get a slideshow. I mean, yeah, we get to see like the character like silhouettes or whatever, like scrolling from one side of the screen to the next. Only this time it goes from top to bottom. But it's like, even from beginning to end, everything looks so much prettier to look at. And the way that they animated, like, the vines, like, sprouting out everywhere. And heck, even at the very end of the animation, whatever, where we see, like, the stone wall of everybody and, the Bucciolati gang, just, satchel on there or whatever. It's like, yeah, the fact that they animated, like, everything, like, with that, it's like, yeah, it's a lot better to look at.
Yeah. And it's like, especially that last shot where it's like, you see everybody, yeah, like they're in like the stone wall, like covered by the vines and stuff. They're in the same poses, but now they're all like directly intertwined and shit. I mean, that is fucking Iraqi right then and there.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
exactly.
Like,
Yes.
that is such an Iraqi manga cover. So I was like, it's like, oh my God, it was beautiful.
It kind of makes me wonder. I mean, okay, for one thing, earlier, like in the previous Geekouts, I'm fairly certain we talked about like the possibility of David Productions whipping out another opening or something like that, or possibly even another ending, like song wise, like themes, but it's like, if for whatever reason, if they end up like keeping the exact same ending, like same animation, still keeping Freaking You for the ending theme for the remainder of Golden Wind or whatever, kind of makes you wonder. It's like, okay, when we see this final shot of everybody, like intertwined in a stone wall, and everybody is like pretty much covered in vines or whatever, it kind of makes you wonder. It's like, what if David Production, where it's like, as episodes go on and we see more as like the story progresses or whatever, what if the vines would have slowly started to go away and everybody won't be like nearly as covered on the stone wall as how they were like when we first saw them like near the end of this episode?
Oh, that would be pretty cool. That's like, honestly, like, okay, yeah, I think we're gonna have to put a little spoiler tag here for a very brief moment.
Oh, okay.
I would think just with the ending alone, like, I mean, I figure we can expect a second intro at some point, probably halfway when King Crimson is introduced.
Yeah.
Because that's really the turning point. I would imagine, I don't think we're going to be losing Freaking You throughout this anime. I think we're going to be keeping that. That being said, though, I can probably see them changing up the animation, even adding some tweaks to it, because it's okay, we know Fugo is here right now, but we know when King Crimson's introduced, Fugo bails out. Are they going to keep referencing Fugo even though he will be non-existent in the story, or does David Production have more plans for him? And bear in mind, we may have Trish here, but we don't have her stand Spice Girl.
I was just about to say, we have yet... Okay, even from, the previous ending animation to the current ending animation now, we have yet to see Spice Girl.
And I figure Spice Girl, she'll show up, we'll get Spice Girl in that ending to join up and the whole standoff and everything as well. I expect that to happen too. So maybe, we may lose Fugo, but in its place, we get Spice Girl. Maybe they do different poses for different characters or something. Hell, they may even do something when characters start dying. I don't know. But I kind of get the impression that maybe they'll do subtle differences. Kind of like what they did with Diamond is Unbreakable. Because if you remember, Ryan, with when it was the the Savage Garden ending, I Want You, you only started with a small handful of characters at the beginning of the beginning episodes when they were showing that ending, but then go to the second to last episode, which was the last time that we saw the actual ending. And I mean, the entire screen is flooded with characters.
Yeah,
they kept adding characters as we were being introduced to them. I can kind of see something similar to that happening here, where it's when Spice Girl comes in, expect Spice Girl to show up. Fugo may be dropping out, or they may be doing something unique with that. When Abakio dies, they may do something unique with that. They might do something unique with Bruno, considering his situation. So, I mean, I really don't know, but I would anticipate that some things are probably going to change, even with this really good ending.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I guess with that said, can we talk about the episode now?
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Oh my god.
That's right.
Oh no! Oh no, Mister No! Oh god damn it!
Yes. Yep.
Oh.
Right through her boobs. Right through her tits.
Kiss the girl. Whoa whoa. Sha la 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 la.
God damn it, Mister! Why must you be so brutally honest? So, pretty much the episode is another beat for beat episode. There's really no new extra content or anything. It's just a matter of actually animating, what we're seeing. And, bless you, David Production, for keeping the high quality. With part 5, you guys have been doing a great job so far. I've not really noticed any, huge dips in quality like what we were getting with part 4, but especially in this episode, thanks to Prosciutto and his stand Grateful Dead, or Thankful Dead as it's called. Yeah, it's we forgot to predict stand names last time.
Wait, what? We did?
Yeah, we did. We completely forgot. We were just geeking out over the, what we could possibly expecting because how awesome this fight is, that we completely forgot, oh, hey, yeah, what do you think they're going to change Beach Boy and Grateful Dead into?
Oh, yeah,
completely
that's right.
forgot. We completely forgot to do that.
Whoops.
So, yeah. That's okay. So, Grateful Dead became Thankful Dead, okay, synonymed one word. And then Beach Boy became Fisherman, which is okay, they took the literal route with Pesci, which honestly makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it's a goddamn fishing pole. I mean, I don't know, what else you could do with it.
I can't think of anything.
But, other than that, yeah. But, other than that is, the Grateful Dead, with its ability to make people age rapidly based on, body temperature. And I just remember, even in the manga, how disgustingly detailed Araki drew Narancia just withering away. And it was like, because he got it the worst in like such a short amount of time that it was just like, yeah, when we got to that part, it was like, I remember, Ryan, you and I were just like, oh shit, that's right, this happens. Oh man, how is this going to end up being animated? And suffice it to say, I thought they nailed it.
Yeah, considering how my reactions were with like a certain moments, like as they're on the train heading out to Venice or whatnot. Yeah, I think it's safe to say David Productions nailed it.
Yeah, it's like, and like, yeah, and I mean they matched it in the manga. Like you see, like, yeah, you see Narancia, like he's pulling his hair out. You're seeing like, yeah, his teeth are falling out, and it's like actually hanging by the root out of its mouth. So it's like oh man, that was nasty.
Oh
And
god,
then you saw like,
got the
yeah,
shivers right there.
and then you see, yeah, but then remember, Ryan, like you saw like, his spine twisting, his fingers cracking. It was like, oh man,
No.
David Production, you did not disappoint on the quality of animation here, man.
No, it's like no. Look. The way that they put so much detail on the wrinkles, that was one thing. But then when they went above and beyond, like as we're looking at Narancia and we see like his skin like getting like even more like worse to the point where it was like practically decaying or whatever, and then his fucking fingernails and shit just pop out of his fingers. It's like, at that point, David Productions lost me. Like
Yeah,
I was literally
I mean,
so choking at that moment. Something happened in my throat, and I lost it. I just lost it.
I mean, to be fair, yes, that was in the manga too, but it's one thing to be looking at it as a still image, and then it's another thing to actually see the cracking.
Yeah, see it in animation, hear all the crackling sounds that are
like,
going on. It's like, ugh.
Oh god, see, it's like, this is part of the reason why this is my favorite fight, because already, I mean, yeah, the stakes are so fucking high. I mean, it's like Prosciutto. Yeah, it's like really the only ones left are Trish, Mista, and Bruno. Prosciutto damn near took out everybody else in one hit in a matter of minutes. So yeah, the stakes are already ridiculously high. So that's where it's like, this is a phenomenal setup to the fight, and yeah, and mind you, this is still the setup. The actual fight really begins next week, and it's just gonna be fucking wild, man.
Oh, it really is. I mean, honestly, I was actually surprised that they were able to use the entire setup as like just the whole episode. Honestly, I was starting to think, like, considering how they've been speeding through some of these like smaller fights or whatever, I was starting to think they were gonna pull something out of their sleeve and just be like, okay, we're gonna have the setup, but then we're gonna end the episode like sometime like at the beginning of Mista's fight.
Right.
But no, lo and behold, it's like, Bruno, Mista, and Trish, okay, they figure out what the hell is going on in regards to Prosciutto's stand, and then Mista, has to, get out of the turtle, see exactly where the hell the stand user is at, so he can take him out. At that point, and then one thing leads to another, and then that's pretty much it.
Right. Now that being said, though, I will say I've noticed on Twitter that, and for good reason, let's talk about Prosciutto.
Okay, alright.
Because everybody is, like, going fucking ape shit over Prosciutto, and, like, I mean, like, nuts have been busted here. That's like, everybody is loving Prosciutto right now, and I mean, Prosciutto is awesome. He is a great character. And, Pesci is going to have his moment to shine too, but that's really going to be starting, if not the next episode, easily the next one after that. I mean, I'm telling you, this is going to be a 3-part fight.
Yeah.
Because this is a 3-part fight minimum, because this is a long one. So
wait, hold up. Like, are you saying like this, like, including the setup episode we just got today? Or
Yes.
oh, okay.
So yeah, we got this setup episode, and then we got Mista that's gone out of the turtle, and he's going to start hunting because he's already, because if you remember at the end of the episode, he's hooked. He's on the end of Beach Boy right now. So pretty much the remainder of Mista's part in the fight, that's easily going to be handled in the next episode. I just don't know if it's going to be the entire episode or if it's going to be maybe the first half. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's
I do
really
know.
hard
I mean,
to say.
but it is gonna be. Very much Mista's part is gonna be highlighted in the next episode, and then I guess depending on how quickly they go through it, will be all right. When does Bruno start? Because when Bruno gets into the fight, that's the bulk of the fight. Really, is when Bruno shows up. So that's where it's like, again, it's like if they go through like Mista's fight, and if it ends up taking up like the entire episode, and like Bruno shows up like right at the end, like the episode ends with Bruno's sexy ass intro into the fight, then it's like, yeah, this is easily gonna be a 3-parter because Bruno's part in the fight will take up an episode all by itself. So that's where it's like, that's where I'm thinking like, yeah, so this is easily not going to be resolved next week. This is probably going to be like 2 weeks from now will be when this thing gets resolved.
Oh, yeah, pretty much. I could definitely see that. Although at the same time, it's like, yeah, I do hope that, it's like, I know Bruno's part in the fight is like the vast majority of the fight, but yeah, I'm still kind of hoping that they don't exactly rush through this one, because if they somehow do the impossible and pull this off in 2 episodes, I'm going to be a bit surprised, yet at the same time rather disappointed, because no, you're absolutely right. I made a joke about this when we were initially watching the episode, but it's like, yeah, no, you're right. I could see as how this is like a much, like one of the longest fights to ever hit Vento Arreo, especially compared to the other fights we've managed to go through thus far. It's like, oh yeah, this will definitely not take 2 episodes. Nuh-uh. This is at the least a 3-parter, bar none. So it's like, yeah, they better not rush through Mista's part. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, and this is where, like, again, if we go back to Prosciutto, as, before we kind of got derailed there, that's like, Prosciutto, especially during Mista's part, is really where we see a lot of Prosciutto coming in, because, we saw how he had, like, that little monologue to Pesci about, don't say, oh, I'm gonna kill you and I'm gonna do this. He's like, we're trained assassins. We don't think like that. Like, he's trying to basically lecture and educate Pesci about how it is that La Squadra thinks and operates. Because Pesci's still kind of the newbie here. Yeah, but that's where it's like a lot of people are loving Prosciutto. That's where it was like, it was killing me on Twitter, where it's like, because I checked Twitter a couple times, seeing like, okay, what's going on, with the people I follow, what's going on with you guys, if there's any goofy shit that I see that, I can, spread some chuckles, I'll go on ahead and retweet something goofy. But, I do follow a couple of JoJo accounts, and I swear it was like when this episode aired at like when it first premiered, I was on like my break or something from work, and I go and check Twitter, and it's like all the JoJo accounts, all they were talking about was Prosciutto. They weren't even talking so much about the rest of the episode. All they were talking about was how everybody was just going gaga over Prosciutto.
Oh, God.
Like I said, nuts have been busted today.
Oh, God damn it. You say the phrase gaga, and I just remembered, I can't believe they actually animated the aging baby. Wait. No.
Oh, I remember.
Oh my God, I remember this!
Yes! That was so funny.
Oh, fuck, dude!
I remember that!
Oh, shit!
Oh God, that's right. Yeah, that little babe. The babe. Yeah,
I nearly
baby.
forgot about that part, and then as you know, I hear the child going, "Mama, Mama," and then we get a close up shot of the mother who's died of age or whatever the hell, and then the baby.
She had to have died at some point. I mean, that's like, I know, like, the whole point was that, yeah, women age slower. That's why Trish is naturally not nearly as affected as the guys are. And the only reason why Bruno and Mister are okay is because they were drinking ice water. So, I mean, it's like, I get that, but you're talking about a baby that is now an old man. Still the same size as a baby, but still a baby as an old man, and the mother who's literally lying there like a fucking corpse. That's so creepy.
Yeah, it's like Mike. All right, look, I'm fairly certain. It's like, no, there's no doubt we're gonna be seeing much creepier shit as the part goes on. But it's like, my God, as of right now, that's literally the creepiest thing I've ever seen. And I remember this because I felt the exact. Because I'm fairly certain I reacted the exact same way, if not, like when we initially read the manga.
Yeah.
But I'm sure my feelings of that have intensified, if only because it's like, oh my God, they actually animated this.
Right.
God damn it.
It kind of does beg that question, just because it's like, but easily by this point, it was easily established, like, it was kind of, but not really established in part 3. Definitely more established in part 4, and it really does make it more of an establishment in part 5. About how the stands really are a reflection of the user. So, I mean, it's like, Mrs. Fear 4, there's no fourth bullet, Bruno's sticky fingers with his hiding and everything, that really, you'll understand that when you actually get to Bruno's backstory. Like, Abakio, where he's constantly living with the guilt with what happened, where he took the bribe and it ended up in his partner's death. And what happens? He ends up with a stand that does nothing but rewind and replay the past. So, I mean, it's like, it all makes sense and everything. So I guess it kind of does beg the question. It's like, what the fuck was going on in Prosciutto's head to get Grateful Dead? That is really fucked up.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, just where I was like, dang, man, I have no idea. It's just,
your guess is as good as mine, really.
It's like, speculate away, audience. Speculate away.
Please.
Alrighty, I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we need to bring up in this episode?
Well,
like any other really standout moments?
Well, okay. Well, I mean, we basically covered like the gist of what happened, like before, like aside from the very insane shit, like the two stand users, the conflict that the Bucci gang is going through, and all that shit. Mista getting out of the turtle to try to find said stand users, only to get baited, pun intended. It's like we covered the stand names that we just got. We discussing a creepy shit, fucking aging baby. I think that we pretty much covered everything so far.
Alrighty then. Okay, so yeah, hope you guys are getting pumped about this episode. I know we definitely were, and oh man, I can't wait for next week, So, yeah, I guess with that said, guys, hope you all enjoyed, and we will see you next week for part 2 of this amazing train fight.
Alright, see you guys next week.